In a short, high-stakes session, Central Oregon has a chance to protect the places that sustain us, advance complete communities, and secure a livable future for people and wildlife, but only if we all show up and participate. With just 35 days on the clock, Landwatch is coming into the 2026 legislative session focused, coordinated, and ready to advocate for what matters most to Central Oregonians. Communities where people can afford to live and thrive, rural lands that remain productive and protected, and wild lands that support the wildlife and outdoor pursuits that define our region.
When we talk about housing in Central Oregon, we're really talking about whether our kids, our neighbors, and essential workers can afford to stay and actually build a life and thrive in the communities they love. So this legislative session, our Cities and Towns program is remaining focused on our North Star, which is building complete communities. And this means places with abundant housing options, transportation choices, access to nature nearby, and a mix of everyday services that people need. One key priority this session is a community-driven concept that is going to allow much-needed affordable housing to keep moving forward while also preserving opportunities for economic development in complete communities. We're also going to push for tools that give local communities more flexibility for infrastructure funding, because right now that's one of the biggest barriers we face in building more housing where people want and need it most. At the same time, we know legislators are going to be juggling really tough budget decisions, federal uncertainty and shortfalls, and reworking a really important and troublesome transportation bill. So we're here to make sure essential safety and multimodal transportation programs and projects that we need for our region's overall health and livability aren't on the chopping block. So this might be a short session, but we're showing up ready to give it everything we've got.
Wildlife, including mule deer, are disappearing from Central Oregon landscapes. If we want to keep them around, we need to invest in their future. That's why the top priority for our Wildlands and Water program is securing sustainable funding for critical wildlife conservation work. By raising Oregon's statewide tourism tax by just 1.25%, we can provide dedicated funding for essential programs like the State Wildlife Action Plan, the Oregon Conservation and Rec Fund, and ODF&W's Wildlife Connectivity Program. By investing in conservation solutions, we can support Oregon's fish and wildlife, protecting and recovering imperiled species, funding state wildlife passage projects, and restoring habitats that support livelihoods, quality of life, and recreation opportunities. If we want to protect the healthy ecosystems, outdoor recreation, and wildlife that make Oregon special, investing in conservation isn't optional, it's essential.
Protecting Central Oregon's rural lands is about ensuring a secure future for the landscapes that feed us, employ us, and define the character of our region. This legislative session, our Rural Lands program is focused on defending the integrity of Oregon's working lands. We're opposing House Bill 4153, a proposal that would open protected farmlands across the state to be used for the primary purpose of entertainment and hospitality activities. We strongly support farmers' ability to sell their product directly to the public through farm stands and to host limited agritourism events that support farming. But this concept goes much further and would create conflicts with working farms and ranches, drive up the cost of farmland, and invite non-farm commercial interests onto land that's meant to stay cheap and productive. We're opposing a bill to expand the city of Hillsborough's urban growth boundary by 1,700 acres onto the very best farmland in the state, all to attract more data center development that drains scarce water and electricity from Oregonians. We're also closely tracking a bill, House Bill 4113, which would justify additional sprawl on farm and forest lands based on a battle fought and won years ago to protect the Metolius River Basin from resort development. There's no public benefit in more sprawl on farm and forest lands that benefits one private interest when the cherished Metolius River Basin is already protected.
The choices legislators make during this year's short session will shape whether Central Oregon remains a place where people can afford to live, wildlife can survive, and rural lands remain productive for future generations. That's why Landwatch will be advocating for this place and the people who call it home, but we can't do it alone. Join us this session by staying engaged with opportunities to take action and speak up for Central Oregon. Together, we can influence policy and protect what matters most.